everyone. Thank you for joining me for another monthly wrap up. I'm your host, Voodoo Pickles, and today we're going to be talking about the books I read in April. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys are having an awesome time. So, I was really surprised. We read way more than I thought we were going to, but it makes sense because a lot of these books were larger books that well, not a lot of them. Some of them were larger books that I started in March. and one of them, I think it was even before that. I think it was like January or February. It just took me forever to get through it. So we finished 7 books this month, which I am so excited we did. And it is really great. I read a lot more nonfiction this month than I thought I was going to, but I went down a whole thing. So the first book that we read this month was The Bullet Journal Method. This was written by Ryder Carroll, and I read this digitally through my library. It was about 336 pages. And if you haven't read or haven't heard about it, it's very... Ryder Carroll developed the Bullet Journal Method to help rapid log your day, help organize your thoughts, and help to kind of plan your life and to still memory keep while you're doing that and see patterns that you may have, everything. It's a nice, great system. And Ryder Carroll, I think he has like ADHD. He has his own YouTube channel if you guys have any questions about that. But I thought I did bullet journaling because I'm on the planner YouTube sphere. It's very... Everybody's like, my bullet journal this, my bullet journal that. But looking at the basics of it from Ryder Carroll, because I was like, you know what? I need to actually read the book if I'm going to say this is what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is not, I don't think, bullet journaling specifically. But I read it and it was very, very informative. There was some of the things that I was like, oh yeah, I do that. And there was a lot of other things that I was like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea that I could definitely incorporate into what I want to do for what I'm trying to do for my plannering and all of that stuff. So that was pretty great. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice to get a frame of reference, and he pulls up examples and everything. And like I said, he has a YouTube channel. So if you have any questions about bullet journals, I would suggest starting off at his YouTube channel before you get sucked into the aestheticness, the different planners, the different bullet journals, different notebooks, all of the different things, because I had no idea when I first fell down that rabbit hole, and it was very eye-opening on how much that was. But it was there. I rated this a 3.5 out of 5. I think it was very informative. And the second book that we read this month was Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. This is written by Tom O'Neill, and he had Pi Penbring helping him out finishing the book. And I read this physically. I have it. I read this physically, and it is 528 pages. Let me double check. 521 pages. And this was really interesting. This is another nonfiction novel, and it talks about a journalist who was looking into Charles Manson because it was going to be an anniversary of the Manson murders. If you don't know what the Manson murders was, it's a whole big thing. And it was a large point in history where a lot of things started changing, especially if you're interested in cults, true crime, everything. I'm pretty sure you guys know who Charles Manson is. And so the journalist was looking through all of the thing, trying to write like an expose for the magazine that he was working at the time, and then just kept falling into the whys. Why didn't this happen? Why did this happen? What was going on here? And it turned into a whole project that took up his whole life for years and years and years. And just like the title suggests, it connects Manson to the CIA and how the CIA was working with several different projects to through like MK Ultra and all of this, and most of this is like declassified now, so you can actually look it up. But there's a lot of interesting parallels, and so it connects the CIA to Manson and how all of that worked, and then goes deeper into the more CIA side of it and how he found out certain things. It was very interesting, and I really like how it was written. So you're just kind of traveling through the journey with him, like if he was telling you the story that he went through when he was younger, and he was just kind of traveling through it. I think it was written really well. I rated this 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very informative, and I like to just kind of go down those rabbit holes every now and then, and I'm like, oh, I know some of this terminology. It is familiar to me. And the third book that we read this month was, I got it, is The Silversmith. This is the second book in the David Wolfe series. This was written by Jeff Carson. I read this physically through my library. It is 222 pages. And I picked this one up because of The Silent Woods. I really enjoyed The Silent Woods. It's a book that I bought, so I have it physically, and I'm kind of excited to go back and read it again. But I was like, you know what? I want a book set in winter. I want it kind of like action packed, and there's a conspiracy theory or a conspiracy going on, and all of that type of stuff. So I was like, I want something like that. That's what I want. And this was kind of like that. Like, this follows Deputy Sergeant David Wolfe. And it's really messed up. Like, the first chapter is like really messed up. So this is the first sentence in the thing. Deputy Sergeant David Wolfe has been waiting 16 years for today's opportunity to follow in the footsteps of his late father and become sheriff of Sleuth County, South Dakota, headquartered in a small ski resort town of Rocky Point, Colorado. What he's offered, however, isn't quite what he's expecting, and for Wolfe, refusing turns out to be harder and much deadlier than he could have anticipated. So, like I said, he was waiting to be elected in the sheriff of this small town, just like his father was before him. He is not. And it's like in the first few pages. And the reasoning for it, what I like about a lot of really well written like conspiracy theory like books or movies or anything, is you can see where decisions start branching off, and it's like playing a choose your own adventure game in like anything where your choices matter in a video game, and you could see where those choices directly reflect what you did a while back. And so that's what I really enjoy about that. This one did not do that as much. It was all very reactionary. It was all very, oh no, we did this thing, and now we're gonna knee-jerk reaction into doing this other terrible thing. And then, oh no, I'm gonna knee-jerk reaction into somebody knee-jerking reaction to my knee-jerk reaction, and then I'm going to do another knee-jerk reaction into that, and it just it kind of spirals out of control very, very quickly. And it's not a like a very deep read, but I enjoyed it. It was okay. There was a lot of problems I had with the characters, mostly that a lot of them just didn't seem like real people. You know, they seemed very caricature-y, which was fine for what I was reading. And I was like, you know what? As advertised, I just wanted an action-packed book that had like some type of conspiracy behind it, and that's what I got. That's what I got. I can't say I did not get what I asked for, but I gave this one a 3 out of 5. And the fourth book that I read this month was The House of My Mother, a daughter's quest for freedom. This was written by Sherry Frankie, and I read this digitally through my library. It's 315 pages, and I forgot I put this book on like hold for me. I wanted to read it when it first came out. Everybody was following, well, I can't say everybody. A lot of people who are interested in true crime and cults or anything surrounding like the Mormon religion or anything. This was a very well publicized case of what happened. Giant YouTuber was arrested for child abuse, and then the trial went through last year. So this is the daughter of one of those people who were convicted of. Can't even say accused, fully convicted. And I wanted to read this when it first came out, but it's been a few months. And I finally got it this past month, and I read it, and I got to say, it changed my perspective on a lot of different things a lot of times, which is one of the things that Sherry talks about a lot in the book, is having people remember that these are real children's lives that are being publicized, are being picked apart, and watching her. This isn't talking so much about the case or what happened. This, like, the case and what happened is the last little bit of the book, and that was her reactions to it. What it's talking about is more growing up in the family vlogging space and having her whole life dictated about what would get her mother views on YouTube. And I thought that was a very interesting look at how because people seem to really like family vlogging. It does really well. It's a huge thing on YouTube. I don't get the appeal of it, but it's a huge thing. And seeing how it is actually starting to affect the children of those families that are growing up, which is one thing that you always have to remember. These are real people. And growing up in a space where everything that you're going through is being published online against your will, and if you try to stop it, you get punished, is really, a really difficult thing for a lot of people to understand. But I really enjoyed this. I gave this book a 4 out of 5, and I said it was really interesting read, changed my perspective on a lot of little things that I didn't know I had a weird perspective on. So I was like, okay, I liked it. And the 5th book we read this month was, I'll get it out right here, Pretty Broken Things. This one was written by Melissa Marr, and I read this physically, obviously. It's 300 pages, and I read this through my library as well. I had to go print out some papers, like some legal papers and stuff, and my printer here stopped working as well, and then now it's out of ink. So I actually had to go to a library to physically print out papers. And then I saw books, and I was like, hey, I like books. So I grabbed a couple of books to read, and I started reading this. This one was an interesting one. I thought I was gonna like it a lot more based on what, like, the back said, based on the cover, based on like the title of it. So this one is following 2 women who are tied to a serial killer called the Carolina Creeper. And the Carolina Creeper has a lot of unknown victims, and one of the main characters is Juliana. Juliana is a mortician that works in Raleigh, North Carolina, and is tied up with getting the bodies of this killer. And then we follow Tess. Tess is a former drug addict. She has a lot of psychological issues, and it's just kind of parallels. It's multiple POV. We get a POV from each of the characters that are in it, and we just kind of follow them through while the story all ties together. I have to say that there was a lot of times at the beginning of the book where I was like, oh, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. And there was only one thing that popped up, and it just kept kind of evolving through the book, where like halfway through I was like, oh, okay, it's not what I originally thought in the 2nd chapter, but it's this other thing. And then I kept reading it, and I'm like, yeah, that's that other thing. Okay. Again, the characters were not the best. There was some characters that, like the psychologically traumatized person, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can understand your point of view. I can see why you are doing the things you do. The people trying to exploit others, I'm like, I can understand why you're trying to do what you're trying to do. And then there was Juliana. I was just like, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why? I'm being told that you're super smart. I am being told constantly that you are super smart. I am not seeing any evidence of this supposed intelligence. And that really bugged me. Like, her parts of it, like I started eye rolling halfway through the book because I was just like, she's obviously going to do something that she's not supposed to do, that people have told her that she was supposed to, but she's not going to listen to those because how dare a man tell her what to do, even though he's trying to save her life. That's fine, whatever. So that brought down my score a little bit of this. The story overall was very intriguing. I really enjoyed the story. I wish that I got some more information about some other things in it, but overall, it was a pretty good story. It got my attention again after things started ramping up toward like three-quarters of the book in. Like that's when it really got my attention. I couldn't put it down. I was like, well, now I have to know. I have to know. Is there going to be like a curveball at the last little bit? Who knows? I want to know. And then I had to continue to finish it. But I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't the most terrible, but I said that couple of characters in here, I just like if I could, I would reach through these pages and I would just shake you, because you're being stupid, and not like a oh I'm in a situation right now and I don't know how to act, so I'm just gonna go on instinct or anything. Like all of these were thought out things. And you can't just say that, oh no, she's just like this because she's hot headed. No, that's not how that works. Hot headed doesn't mean stupid. But okay. And the sixth book that we read this month was this one, Occult Feminism, The Secret History of Women's Liberation. And this is written by Rachel Wilson, and I've read this physically. This is not through my library. I actually bought this book because, I mean, look at the cover. Look at the name. Why wouldn't I, right? And this is 131 pages, and it's also nonfiction. And I fell down this rabbit hole of religion and feminism, like this whole, like that's what I've been doing a lot of, I guess, unintentional research into it. And it's Rachel Wilson is the husband of Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson I saw on YouTube doing a few debates with people, and he cracked me up, so I started looking more into his type of content. And he is an Orthodox Christian, and that's Rachel Wilson is his wife. And I heard her talking, and I was like, obviously, I really like how this guy talks. He's really gruff. And every time I watch him, I was like, you know what? Yeah. Hey, smoking, I would like a cigarette too. Can you just do that? Can you just smoke during a debate like that? Apparently so. And so I was like, oh, he's married to this person. This person's also on this debate. Let me go see that debate. And then listening to the debate, I was like, oh, I have questions. I don't agree. I don't agree with what you're saying. And I started reading the Bible, but I'm working my way through the Old Testament. So I am not super far into reading the Bible, but I'm working on it little bit by little bit. And a lot of the things that she was saying, like, I can't refute things because I'm not there yet, you know? But I saw that she wrote a book, and then she is against feminism. And so I saw her book, and it goes down a bunch of rabbit holes that I have previously fell down into. I'm talking years ago. Little younger voodoo fell down into those. So I understood a lot of what she's saying in there, and I agree with some of the things that she's saying in there and how she came to those conclusions. But I don't agree with her interpretation of things a lot. And for something as large as the occult and feminism and how all of that goes, I'm like, this is such a short book. Because when I saw it, I saw that she wrote a book, and cool. I want to read it because that's a very fascinating topic. This is not a very thick book, 131 pages. I'm like, I could talk about some of the things in here And if I transcribed that to a page, it'd probably be like 200 pages on the one thing. So I wish it was more filled out. What it does, I think, really well is it gives you a list of names that you should probably look into and situations that you should probably look into. I'm not Orthodox Christian, so I don't agree with what she's saying and how she's saying it in some parts of it. I do agree with some of the points that she's making. Not that feminism is bad, just that feminism was weaponized, which was an interesting way to look at things. And like I said, she's Orthodox Christian, so she spends a lot of the times in the book making you very aware of what type of Christian she is and how that affects her worldview. Which again, that's fine. That's her worldview. I understand it. I just don't agree with a lot of it. But the information, I was like, oh yes, I really wish that you just dug in a little bit more. Like you're right there, and I know stuff that's right there and just a little bit further, and I want you to just push it. And she did not. So that brought it down a bit, but I rated this a 4.5 out of 5. It wasn't bad. Like I said, if you look into this book and you start looking at the names and the companies and the organizations and the historical events that were happening at that time. It's just a wild, wild rabbit hole to dig down into. And she has them all listed out in the book. So I'm like, at least there's that information going out. I just wish you'd talk more about the information. And that was my opinion on it. But like I said, a 4 out of 5. It was for a nonfiction book. I was like, I need more. I need a little bit more information, but it was pretty good. It's pretty good. And the 7th book that we read this month was The Fifth Elephant. This is the 24th book in the Discworld series. It was written by Terry Pratchett, and I read this digitally. It was about 417 pages digitally, and I love the Discworld series. I found the Discworld series when I was in my teenage years. I think I found a book about it at my local library. Well, my school library. I didn't have a local library where I grew up because we were just that small of a town. And at my school library, and I read it, and I reread it, and I reread it again, and that was the only one that we had at the library. I don't know how many books are in the Discworld series, but I have quite a few of them on my shelf here, and quite a few of them digitally. And I read this digitally. I have it on my Kindle, and it was really fun. It's what I really like about Terry Pratchett and the Discworld series specifically is it's so wild, so absurd, so crazy, and then there's so much in it, and then the way that he brings everything together at the end to where it's like the butterfly effect. Somebody on the other side of the disc does something, and the effects just ripple out all the way until it's affecting this one situation we're looking at. And it's funny. I love Terry Pratchett's humor. I sit there and I giggle and I laugh at it a lot, and I really enjoy it. But The Fifth Element is following Samuel Vimes, who is married to Lady Sybil, and because he married Lady Sybil, he is now technically a duke of the main town Ankh-Morpork. I'm not pronouncing that right. That's like one of the biggest cities on the disc, and he is being sent to Umbervold to a coronation of the new Low King, which is a dwarvish Low King, and try to work diplomatically so that they can start a trade contract for fat. Because a legend in Discworld is that, if you guys don't know, Discworld is a disc world, like legit on a disc. The world is a disc, and it is balanced on the back of 4 elephants. And then those 4 elephants are standing on a giant turtle, and the turtle flies through space, and that's Discworld. That's their whole world. So the legend is that there was a 5th elephant at one time, but the 5th element fell off of the turtle and into the disc, and then when he died, he created like a mountain range, and his bones, and as he was just his bones and everything were made of precious metals, and a large part of what his body was, of what was his body decomposed into was this certain type of fat that is very clean and used for a lot of different things. And the patrician, yeah, I was like, what was it? What was it called? Patrician, Lord Ventinari, who I like how he works everything. I'm like, he's like an operations manager to the max. I love it. He wants to set up a trade agreement for that fat because of the amount of fat used in candles and soap and all of these type of things that the city uses. So he sends Lord Samuel Vimes, who is also the captain of the guard watch in the city. And when he's leaving, there's all kinds of situations going on in the guard watch and stuff. And he's like, well, I need to be here for this. And the boss is saying, nope, you're going. Your wife already said so. And he's like, well, my wife said it. All right, we can do it. But there's vampires, there's werewolves, there's dwarves, there's gnomes, there's zombies in here. There's a stolen scone that is very central to the plot of the story. It is great. It is one of my favorite type of stories. And this is really, I'm trying to work through trying to read all the Discworld books in the series, except I'm not in order because I don't know if I don't think I have all of them. But it's really great. What's another really enjoyable thing about Terry Pratchett's Discworld series is you can just pick one up out of order and it'll give you enough information in that one book that you can have it as like your introduction to the whole world. And the more books you read from the Discworld series, you'll start seeing nods and Easter eggs from different series, from different people, from different situations, and how that just kind of reverberates out through the world. It is fantastic. I love the Discworld series. It's one of my favorite things ever. And I obviously rated this a 5 out of 5. And it was so good. It was so good, you guys. But I was just, like I said, I was really surprised we finished 7 books this past month. Like, I was just not ready for that. TBH, not gonna lie. But what did you guys read? I hope you guys read some really good books this past month. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, afternoon. Don't forget to do the YouTube things, like, subscribe. My schedule's changing a little bit. I'm trying to make sure that it's not. But like I said, I got sucked down into a non-intentional research black hole this past month, which is also a reason why I'm like, how did I finish 7 books? Like, so I'm going to try and keep a more consistent schedule also while introducing new types of content. So I'm really excited about that. I hope you guys have an amazing time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you'd like to see any of these books, I'm going to have the links down below for where to buy them through your local library, where to buy them through thrift books if you don't mind your books secondhand. It's usually cheaper. And if you are in the continental US, where you can find your local library so you can check them out like I did with most of my books this month. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. You guys are amazing and awesome. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.